Hello, everybody. This is Professor Savini. It's Sunday, October 23rd. Eastern Standard Time is about 3:30. I don't want to bother you again, but I will. Going through the discussion threads for both 7.1 and 7.2 this afternoon and yesterday. And be honest with you, I'm a little bewildered, kind of concerned. If you were part of my staff at work, I'd be very concerned. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Okay? You know, the first part of Module 7, we kind of concluded our studying of these different ethical frameworks, right? And we flirted with a few of them, you know, the universal type framework that many people adopt, what's best for the common good, the egoist one that's more self-centered, what's best for me, you know, how can I take care of others if I don't take care of myself, you know, it's a more altruistic type of egoist. And we've concluded with virtue ethics, right? Following the path of the Greek philosophers, basically, and also many of the world's religions. So we then talk about in 7.2 understanding how the professions, let's say code of conduct in the AICPA or IMA, IIA have all developed over time, or what they look like, you know, over the development over time. And we kind of see the connection, okay? At one time it was said that many of the laws within the United States, maybe in Great Britain, the Anglo-speaking world, were predicated on the original Ten Commandments. They could kind of trace them back. Well, similarly, you can trace back a lot of the code that we function under to the different frameworks, you see? And being a practitioner for many years, I know that the AICPA espouses the public trust as being paramount. Serving the public is paramount above all things. In practice, we know that ain't the deal. In practice, the paramount is protecting the pocketbook, earning the profit. And this is why many of the firms have caused themselves great pain and angst. Why auditing and consulting fees are quite high. The SEC, the PCAOB, and many of the inspectors general within at least federal government, we police. I was the director at HUD of our public housing unit, and the finance administration arm of it, that is. And I had a quality assurance division that reported to me, and we investigated, we audited practitioners all around the country, and we made referrals to the state boards if we found substandard auditing work. We found quite a few, and some of it was really egregious. But the issue is, you know, reality is what it is. And that's what brings me today. What are you thinking out there? Your discussion threads. I mean, 7.1 and 7.2, you all hit the right points. I mean, you know, in the sense that you read the material or you Googled it and you kind of got it and you put it in your own words, at least most of you did. But when we look at what you should know right now and what you should be talking about right now, I'm kind of flabbergasted. Okay, again, if you were staff, I'd be reading you the Riot Act right now. We talked about integrity, almost right out of the chute. We talked about competence. And I think we kind of looked at them as being twin sisters or joined at the hip, whatever metaphor you want to use. Kind of saying you need integrity to exercise competence, and competence without integrity can't be achieved, okay, at least in most cases. We spent a lot of time. We had a paper on it. And now what really concerns me is how a few of you in your discussion threads kind of forgot all that because you picked up on one thing in the boss reading about the anecdote or situation where someone's holding a gun to your head asking you whether or not you believe in God, and many of you glibly, in my opinion, said, "Oh, that's a no-brainer." I'm going to say, "Of course not." I'm going to save my skin. Maybe I could ask boss to kind of pitch it a different way because I don't think that's a good example, primarily because people who do say they believe in God believe in their own notion of God. Many don't believe in God. Some are atheists, others are agnostics. So that really doesn't hit at the core. But I was just dumbfounded, awestruck, that several of you were like, not a problem. I mean, well, what about your integrity? What about your competence? None. There are only two of you, and I'm not going to name who you were, that kind of addressed it. And what I'm looking for is there was another thing we covered early on. Maybe not as much, but many of you wrote about it in your paper. Courage. Don't you have the backbone to stand and call a bluff? How do you know they got a real gun? How do you know there's a bullet in that gun? How do you know they got the guts to pull the trigger? Some of you sound like you're a folding chair at the end of a bingo night. You know how fast those chairs fold at the end of a bingo night? I mean, there could be like 300 chairs and they're folded in 3 seconds because people want to get out of there. We're preparing you to be professionals in the public service. And if you don't have courage, you might earn a master's degree, but I don't think you deserve being a leader. You must have courage. And that courage definitely stems from years of experience, being competent in your field, having integrity, understanding your ethical framework and what the underlying values are that are no-brainers for you to uphold. So when I saw this last week, this week, again, I was kind of amazed that only 2 of you touched upon having courage to stand. That's sad. 2 out of, 18 students, 17 students? Forgive me if I don't know the exact number. That's very sad. So I want you all to reflect on what you're doing in class. You want to become a public servant. You want to hold a high office, and I'm hoping it's for admirable reasons. Whether you're going to be a senior accountant, a CFO, comptroller preparing a CAFR, whether you're going to be a public administrator setting policy, or whether you want to run for alderman or councilman, or maybe something greater than that. You're going to have courage to do what's right. You're going to have courage to call the bluff. Because my concern for some of you is that you will sell out, and you'll sell out cheap, and you're going to sell us all out cheap. Well, darn it, if you're going to sell me out, it better be at a high price. Don't sell me out cheap. Let me tell you something. I'm a taxpayer. I want my money's worth, even if you're going to sell out. So you get my point. So in papers 2 and 3, I want you to talk about it. In your discussion threads, I want you to talk about what? Courage. Because some of you sound like you don't have any, or you don't even know what the word is. And that's what concerns me. Okay? Now this is your mild-mannered, kind-hearted Professor Savini, reminding you in life to confront your demons, to confront the bullies, and have the guts to stand strong and tall. 9 times out of 10, bullies back down, and then you gain so much street cred, they'll never come at you again. But when you back down and you sell out cheap because you don't have courage, because I really don't believe in God, who cares? That's a bad example. But if somebody were to put a gun to your head and say, you give me your life or I'll take your wife, I'll shoot them, take your kids, kidnap them, that's in some nasty business. That's the question. At that point, what courage do you have? How will you react? Not with this abstract God business, okay? Not that he's abstract to many of us, but in real life terms, for most of us, most of you, that doesn't really hit home. It doesn't test your courage, okay? So think about courage. When did you last exhibit a courageous action? When was the last time that you backed down from a bully because you were afraid? Think about that. When was the last time you met a senior executive, maybe in the Pentagon or in your city municipality, like a mayor, and you backed down and you didn't want to confront them, but yet you knew that what they were doing was wrong, but you cared about your job? I just want to know, I'm getting my paycheck every 2 weeks, going to the cafeteria. That's all I care about. I'm digressing. I'm sorry. I'll possibly get out a video regarding Module 8, but so far we're making good progress. Really happy with your discussion threads, except this week. I'm telling you, I was kind of shocked because the substance should have been there on courage. Okay, it's enough said. Have a great rest of the day if you're listening to this on Sunday, or a good week coming up. We got Thanksgiving coming up, okay? So if you need anything, many of you know how to reach me and call me. I'm available for you, all right? Stay well. Thanks. Bye-bye.